I am Molly. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with part 2 of this series, I guess you could call it, on my channel, where I talk about movies that do a great job of taking the very first scene of the movie and the very last scene of the movie, and when you compare them side by side, it tells a really cool story, or it can get the point of the movie across in just those two scenes. I really like this idea. I filmed a part 1 already, and this is part 2, so I'm going to talk about 4 more movies that I think, again, do a fantastic job of this. I actually just rewatched all 4 of them recently and was inspired to do a part 2 of this video, so yeah, let's get started. Fair warning, the following video may potentially contain spoilers if you have not seen these 4 films that I mentioned. So just bear that in mind when you're watching this video. The first movie I want to talk about is Whiplash. This is a great film, a very intense, dramatic movie for sure. The actors in this film do a fantastic job of playing their roles extremely well, and you really believe them. Shout out especially to J.K. Simmons. I think he is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. What I really like is the first and the last scenes. So when you compare them, the first scene we see Andrew. He's down a really dark hallway. He's at his drum set. The lighting is really dark and kind of moody. But the thing that strikes me about this scene is Andrew doesn't particularly seem happy. Like, he's not really enjoying the drumming. It seems almost like he's doing it robotically almost. And there's just not a lot of passion there or love for his craft. It's almost like he's forcing himself to play this drum set and to get it right. And then we compare it to the last scene where we see Andrew and he's playing at his drum set, but the key difference is this time he actually looks like he's enjoying it. It looks like he's happy. The lighting is a lot warmer, the scene's a lot brighter, and it finally ends with Andrew just going all out at his drum kit and just letting his passion for drumming take over instead of his mind thinking more technical stuff, which we kind of saw in the first scene. What I love about this comparison is throughout the movie you're really questioning J.K. Simmons' character in terms of, like, are his teaching techniques good or are they just abuse of the student, essentially? You think he's like this absolute monster through the whole movie, and then at the end you almost understand why he taught Andrew the way he did, because we finally see that Andrew is actually passionate. He's actually arguably a better drummer than he was at the start of the movie. And he's in his body and heart and soul more than his head. Maybe I'm reading into this way more than I should be, but that's what I took from these 2 scenes. I think they're a great comparison. So Whiplash for sure I wanted to talk about. Film number 2 in this video has got to be The Matrix. Fantastic movie, obviously a classic in the sci-fi realm of things. I absolutely love this movie. I think it just in general makes you really think about things and question the world, and I love movies that do that. But I particularly want to pay attention to the first scene and the last scene in The Matrix. So the first scene we see basically just a computer screen, like a computer interface. There's a blinking green light, and then we start to see code being written out, just a series of numbers, and all this code appears on the screen. More and more stuff gets typed out. That's all the scene is. It's basically just a bunch of code. And then the camera kind of like moves toward the numbers that are on this code on the screen. It kind of symbolizes like going into the Matrix almost. And then the last scene we see Neo, who is standing in the street and he's putting his glasses on, and then it switches to a camera looking down at a city, and we see Neo just fly up into the air. I think these 2 scenes do a really cool job of kind of representing going into the Matrix in the beginning scene and coming out of the Matrix. I also like how in the last scene, the cityscape, when you're looking down, it's almost like a series of networks that you would find in a computer, but it's almost like the cityscape is like a computer in a weird way. It's kind of like the Matrix. You could say society is like the Matrix you're stuck in. And then, of course, at the end, Neo finally frees himself from that and he flies up out of the city, and it's like total freedom. So another really cool comparison, I just rewatched this movie and I thought it made for an interesting topic in this video. So The Matrix, that's my second pick for this video. The third movie I want to bring up in this video is Dallas Buyers Club. Again, a great drama, fantastic acting, and I absolutely love how this movie starts and ends, and it takes the story of Ron Woodward and it tells it just looking at the first and the last scenes really well. So in the first scene, you see Ron, he is behind this fence at a rodeo, and he is looking through the view is kind of through the fence, and he's looking out at this person riding a bull, and he looks like he is sick, in pain, fatigued, and he doesn't at all look like he's enjoying what he's doing. The two women he's with, he's not really even paying any attention. All of his attention is on this bull rider that he's watching through the fence. Then we compare it to the last scene where it's kind of the same view. It's looking through a fence at a person riding a bull. However, the person is Ron. So he's finally become the bull rider in the last scene. And it's a great metaphor for how Ron managed to turn his life around. At the start of the movie, he is kind of leading a mediocre life, a very mundane life. He's kind of doing the same things over and over. He surrounds himself with people that maybe aren't the greatest influence on him. He is very close-minded in a lot of ways. He just has a lot of issues and anger toward the world and society. And then at the end, after he's gone through his whole endeavor with AIDS and everything, and he's met the people that he's met, he's just had a change in his attitude, in his way of thinking. And to me, the final scene where he has become the bull rider, it's almost like he's finally in control of his life, and he's kind of reclaimed some part of himself that maybe he lost earlier on. But great comparison. This is a movie, basically the two scenes are essentially the same, just the key difference is that Ron has become the bull rider in the last one, and I thought that was a really cool way of wrapping the movie up. And yeah, Dallas Buyers Club, fantastic film. I thought it did a great job of tying its first and last scenes together. Alright, so the last movie that I want to talk about in this video is Nightcrawler. I absolutely love this film. I love the character of Lou Bloom. He is incredibly unnerving and creepy in a weird way, and yet I find myself rooting for him through the whole film, which is very interesting. I love how this movie starts and ends and what you can interpret from that. So the first scene, we see just an empty road. It looks like it's almost out in the Southern California desert. There's just like a one-lane road going by in one direction. There's a blank billboard that's kind of shabby. It looks run down. And then we compare it to the last scene, which is complete opposite. It's at an intersection. There's a lot of restaurants and buildings around. There's lights, there's signage everywhere, like storefronts and everything. And I think the key here is it's at an intersection. So there's multiple ways you can go. It's where two roads cross. It's just really cool symbology of kind of how Lou Bloom, I think at the start of the film, he felt stuck. He felt like he didn't have much of a purpose in his life. He felt like he wasn't necessarily good at anything. How his character develops in this movie is he basically finds something that he is passionate about and that he thinks he's really good at. His tactics of going about his job are extremely questionable. However, he's good at what he does. It's almost like he's finally found purpose and his life has a bit of a direction in it, and he doesn't feel lost anymore. He's in more of a world of possibilities. There's more directions that he can go in with his life. That's how I interpreted this. I think it's just a really cool comparison. If nothing else, you have like a one-way, desolate road in the middle of a desert under a shabby blank billboard compared to just this lively intersection filled with lights within the city. And it's kind of telling of what happens throughout the movie in terms of Lou Bloom's character development and the career that he goes into. So yeah, just a very interesting comparison. I thought it was another one that I definitely wanted to bring up in this video. But I'm going to end part 2 of this series, I guess you could call it, here. All 4 of these films are fantastic. I would highly recommend watching all of them if you haven't. And let me know down in the comments if there are any other movies that you think start and end in a really interesting way. And definitely let me know. I'd love to check them out if I haven't seen them already. And who knows, I might be doing a part 3 of this if I find more that I really like and want to talk about. But anyway, I will end this now. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.